Let's talk about Hollywood's extreme obsession with narcissism and the ability to make you look at them doing the most basic of human interactions, which is like loving another person or taking care of yourself. They don't just want that to be part of their life. They want to be celebrated for doing that, which is, in my opinion, the height of narcissistic behavior. Would you agree?
I agree. So Noah Schnapp, imagine my shock, of Stranger Things fame, has come out as gay. And he claims that his character in Stranger Things, Will Byers, also coming out as gay, is what led him to coming out to his family and his fan base in a TikTok video. And in this TikTok video, the caption says, "When I finally told my friends and family I was gay after being scared in the closet for 18 years, and all they said was, 'We know.'"
We can watch it. Here we go. Yeah.
You know what it never was? That serious. It was never that serious. Quite frankly, will never be that serious. Never.
I suppose the logic is supposed to be that he talked himself into it. Like talked himself into not being a big deal.
If it was never that serious, you wouldn't have needed to get an entire profile in Variety about the fact that you're gay. But that's just my opinion. This says, "It was, to borrow a phrase from Noah Schnapp's generation, instantly iconic. A watershed moment for LGBTQ visibility executed with perfect nonchalance." Naturally, Noah Schnapp's phone exploded with a stream of texts and calls pouring in after the video went up, but he didn't look at any of them.
It really is like the idea that, you know where I think it started? Where I actually think it started?
Okay.
I think it started when people started to believe that people actually cared what you had for lunch. You know, people who post pictures of their food. Like, if you're narcissistic enough to believe that people give a crap what you ate for lunch, it's not hard to believe that people propped up by a media propaganda machine would believe that people actually care about who they stick their dong into.
I think it's way worse when it's about your sexual orientation or your gender identity or something like that, because you're saying in one moment, like, I'm confident in who I am and I don't need anyone's approval to express myself and my sexuality, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you're obviously desperate for outside validation, which is why you publicized it that way in the first place.
Yeah.
He said, "I didn't want to sit there waiting nervously to see what people were going to say. I just wanted to put it away and be confident in who I am and know I didn't have to care what people think anymore. When I opened my phone at the end of the car ride, it was like 1,000 texts of hearts and congratulations and rainbow flags. I was crying. I was like, I made it. I'm done. And I don't have to worry anymore."
You know,
like, if you actually didn't care what people thought of you, you would have just lived your life and been gay and, you know, dated other dudes. You know what else do gay people do? I don't know.
I'm picturing the inverse of this story is everybody thinks he's gay, like they said, and he comes out as straight. And he would have
needed to at that point, because after his character came out as gay, the speculation about his sexual orientation wouldn't stop.
Like
it essentially forced him. It was like a form of audience capture.
Yeah.
Where he was captive to his audience that he had to come out as gay after his character did.
Yep. And
because they can't separate art from the artist.
And look, thinking that like that like who you decide to sleep with should be labeled iconic, it shouldn't be seen as anything. It should just be who you are.
It's about visibility, Brett. You need visibility.
The actual take for this would be the actual low-key take for this would be to just get a boyfriend and go out on dates and don't talk about it. Just like straight people do. That's how we get to acceptance, right? Is where people just go do it and don't treat these things as some grandiose thing to aspire to, because it's not. It's just who you're attracted to. That's fine. Go out on a date with a dude, and then when people make a big deal about it, say like, look, it is what it is, and then move on with your day.
I think like
but they want the adulation.
By the time that they inserted Will Byers' sexuality, which is also very perverse, like this is a child character. By the time that they inserted his sexuality into Stranger Things, no one cared about Stranger Things anymore. So it was a feeding ground for that social messaging. Like, they ruined what was in its first couple of seasons a very innocent kids show that was like, they had the nostalgia factor and the sci-fi plot line and the aesthetics that people liked. They ruined it by the time that this even became a concern for its audience,
And
which is smaller than it was at the beginning.
This is why I say that no show never like a show past.
They're
a
like,
certain amount of
less people are
seasons.
watching the show now. Let's make the protagonist gay.
Yeah, like the
That's
idea is
their
that
MO.
This is why I said that when I said that network TV got hit the hardest by woke. As much as I hate that term, by identity politics, because a lot of those shows have been on the air for 15, 16, 17 seasons. What's the easiest, quickest, fastest, and most socially acceptable way to shake things up on a show like that?
Get people talking again.
It's what the CW did with all their characters. They're like, oh, look, Sarah Lance. She had a relationship with Oliver. She's been straight for years. Nobody seemed to mind or care. Here she comes in Legends of Tomorrow. She's suddenly gay. And people are like, I mean, it's possible. It's possible that she was closeted the whole time. And there's an easy out for that explanation-wise as a writer. It's not interesting. It's very, very surface level. And it reeks of modern Hollywood when those stories are written about characters that were previously not seen that way. Right?
They like sprinkled it in. So it was like a plot line that still would have made sense had they not made Will Byers gay. Like, they're growing up, their interests are changing. His best friend gets a girlfriend and he spends less time with the boys playing D&D, and he gets jealous of the amount of attention he's giving to his girlfriend.
You know who else is getting jealous, Mary?
Noah Schnapp's sister. He said she was ecstatic. She said that she would have hated the idea of me marrying another girl and having to compete with that girl for my attention. Now it'll be a guy. She was like, oh, he'll be my best friend. Very weird. And people are excusing this by saying, oh, it's his twin sister. It makes more sense that way. No, it's giving Island Boys. It's very sus. I don't like where this is going at all. And he also said about his character, once I did fully embrace that Will was gay, it was just an exponential speed toward accepting it for myself. I think if I never played that character, I probably would still be closeted. Like, why do you need to see yourself in the show that you are playing the protagonist in? Yeah. Like, that's literally the point of acting, is that you're not your character. Yeah, very weird. And after Noah Schnapp posted his coming out TikTok, he got all of the outside validation that he wanted, that he claims to not care about.
There's two $20 super chats there.
Okay, one is from the Ninja. He said, hey, everybody, started a new job. Mr. Brenton, the opposite of a big and tall is Babies R Us.
Well, what about Baby Gap? What about Baby Gap?
What was there was a petite store for women that went out of business, I guess, since women stopped being petite at a certain point in like, the 2000s.
I like the idea that it was gobbled up and bought by Lane Bryant.
I think it was called Petite Sophisticate.
I like the idea that
my mom shopped there.
That Lane Bryant bought it because of its expanding market share, if you will.
And then Mikey said, your poll needs a third option for if I never heard of them before this. No, I won't ever separate the art from the artist. LOL. Okay.
Well, you know what? Let's end the poll since we're doing that there. I asked everybody, can they separate the art from the artist? And it looks like 65% say yes, they judge the art separately.
I mean, that's fair. That's what we have to do.
Since
these people are so obnoxious, as you can tell.
Yeah, it's one of the downsides of this job is you look at this stuff and you're like, wow. Like I said, like the first thing I saw the other day is like what I remembered is like I love the actor Kirk Acevedo, and he was the first person to criticize Jim Caviezel. When back in the day when Jim Caviezel started speaking out more, and then he of course dunked on Stephen Amell during the writer's strike. Like this dude has no loyalty. Not an ounce of it.
Snake.
But he's a good actor, and I like his work. I liked him in Fringe. I liked him in everything he's done.
You can safely assume anybody in any show or movie you like is probably a bad person, and you don't have to really spend your time caring about that. It doesn't matter. Another thing Noah Schnapp said is, in the end, I decided that if I was only out to my close circle, I would still feel like I'm hiding something. The only way to truly feel myself is to tell everyone, meaning tell social media so that you can get more publicity and it's good for your career.
And that will never go the other way.
Your interests converge that way. And then Matt Duffer, one of the showrunners for Stranger Things, said, I love how he did it, which was like not making a big deal out of it. It was a powerful statement, but the simplicity of it, that is so Noah. We're really proud of him.
They
How is this not making a big deal out of it?
Simplistic because it was an 8-second video and not a 10-minute explanation. It's still a grandiose gesture to the whole world about something that shouldn't really matter.
Getting on the cover of a magazine because you're gay is the definition of making a big deal out of your sexual orientation. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yep.
And then Wayne Brady decided it was the right time at 51 years old to come out as pansexual. He's sexually attracted to pans and other kitchenware essentials.
He gets a drill and he drills a hole into the center of a pan.
I like the idea that he just beats his genitalia with a pan.
I think he does both. I think what he does is he uses 2 pans. He uses one pan to beat his genitalia, and he uses the other pan. He cuts a hole in it, and he uses it like a fleshlight. And he says, "Look, my ex-wife and child need to know about my attraction to pans." Of course, we are kidding. Pansexual is just modern day trendy version of bisexual with more steps, and it doesn't matter, dude. Nobody cares.
Wayne Brady,
I guess we
known
care.
as much for his deft comic timing and fully loaded smile, is ready to tell the world how he identifies. "I'm pansexual," he says, meaning that he is attracted to persons regardless of their sex or gender. He puts it another way, bisexual, but with an open mind. And 51 years old with kids and an ex-wife is definitely the right time to come out. It's just the new version of having a midlife crisis. It's the fashionable way to have a midlife crisis. You don't need to buy a McLaren.
He's like, dude, I've got all the McLarens I need. Do I have a pan to have sex with? That's the real question. No, I do not. So now somebody needs to make a fleshlight shaped like a pan now. Just there's a market to be filled, I guarantee you.
His ex-wife.
Jeff Gann is right. When we say nobody cares about this stuff, he's not wrong when they say like you're talking about it. So yes, we're making it a factor of public interest, but
this is our job.
But at the end of the day, like I would prefer if everybody just went out and like if you're pansexual and you want to go out on a date with a guy this week and a girl this week, or a pan this week, if you want to take a pan out, like you put the pan in like on top of a broom. And
if you want to have a candlelit dinner with a pan or whatever, and then keep it to yourself.
But like, I guess this is all part of the fact that social media has made people's personal lives a form of currency in a way that it's no longer just something you, part of your free time. If you're a celebrity and you're somebody in the public eye, it's a monetizable aspect of who you are.
For the male celebrities, it also comes off as such an effeminate trait to like want attention that badly. Like you're a 51-year-old man and a father. Should you not have different priorities in life by this point? Like your kids? And apparently his ex-wife was the first one that he came out to. She said, "I just said great, as I knew coming out would help him be happier." And they showed this picture of him posing with his daughter, his ex-wife, and his ex-wife's boyfriend. The happy family.
It's literally my wife's boyfriend and me and...
This is a functional family unit in 2023.
Well, I mean, there's a big social media thing. Like a lot of influencers who talk about co-parenting, like blended families. There are like a whole influencer accounts that are designed to like women who are like now friends, even because like one was like used to be married to the guy and had the kid, and now he's got a stepmom, and she's friends with the stepmom and stuff like that.
I'd prefer you guys just didn't talk. He says, "In doing my research, both with myself and just with the world, I couldn't say if I was bisexual because I had to really see what that was, especially because I really have not given a chance to act on anything. So I came out as pansexual because, and I know that I'm completely messing up the dictionary meaning. To me, pan means being able to be attracted to anyone who identifies as gay, straight, bi, transsexual, or non-binary. Being able to be attracted across the board." You might want to get investigated because anyone who's non-binary is way below the age range you should be dating.
Maybe the real travesty for people these days is like regular people. Like this is something exclusively for the rich and famous because normal people don't get to.
I don't know. I think there are a lot of poor college students coming out as pansexual.
Yeah, but they don't get the articles written about them.
True.
They don't get the media exposure.
This is also like the power play that comes with coming out as trans when you're having a midlife crisis as a man. I think that's why Caitlyn Jenner came out, is because in that family, you're not really allowed to be a man. And as a man, he was never given the same attention as the women in the Kardashian clan.
There's a $20 one there from Rick Bungle.
He said, I had no idea Will from Stranger Things had a preference for other men. Well, that's the whole plot of the season 4,
That could be sarcasm.
thing. Like, basically, he has unrequited love for his best friend, Mike.
Here's the thing.
And that's what they turned the plot of this sci-fi show into.
For regular people in the real world, these announcements are either unimportant or actually, I guess, depending on what your family's like, could be a risk, right? Where you have to worry about what your family thinks. That's still a possibility, right? For a celebrity, this is not that. It is a power play, and it is a way to build social credit off the backs of something that average everyday people just don't take the time to think about. Like, the average everyday person is not the people watching this podcast. These are people that either enjoy our opinions on things or do care about what's going on in pop culture. But the average everyday person hears that Wayne Brady is pansexual and they say, what does pansexual mean? And then they say, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They don't care. And just like the average person these days doesn't care if they're...
Here's my take. If you can remember 9/11, you are not allowed to identify as non-binary or pansexual or any of this other shit. Simple as. If you remember 9/11, you cannot be a they, them. Period.
That's the rules.
But Wayne Brady he wants everyone to know that he is attracted to penises and vaginas and neo-vaginas and hermaphroditic other genitalia that cannot be categorized. And we all need to know him and support him and celebrate him for it. End of story.
And the reason why I thought this was relatively important is because I read this thing from Kim Kardashian yesterday that said, it was a quote of hers from today. It says, I've chosen myself. I think it's okay to choose you. There is a huge push in propaganda in Hollywood, and I do mean an epidemic of Hollywood propaganda that's all about choose yourself.
Choosing your own
choose
happiness over others.
It's all about you being happy for yourself, being happy in your own skin. They never talk anymore about sacrificing for others or loved ones. It's all about self-love.
As a parent, especially as a mom, you have forfeited your privilege to prioritize yourself first before others. Yep. That the point of being a parent is self-sacrifice for the sake of other people.
There's a quote,
but that's like flying in the face of it. She said, for so long, I did what made other people happy. And I think in the last 2 years, I decided I'm going to make myself happy. And that feels really good. And even if that created changes or caused my divorce, I think it's important to be honest with yourself about what really makes you happy. Oh. So yeah, even if my kids have to grow up in a broken home and
without a dad,
without their dad around,
or
if they have to
male role model,
hear what all of these media outlets have to say about their parents' divorce and their disagreements, and they have to live with that for the rest of their lives, who cares? Because Kim Kardashian, she chose her own happiness. She chose herself.
And that's the push of Hollywood.
That's what's really important.
That's what Hollywood wants.
When
Hollywood
has Kim Kardashian ever thought about someone other than herself? Give me one example.
And here's the thing. The reason they like it, because it increases consumerism. Focus on yourself. Buy that thing you want now. It keeps people single so they don't get married, so everybody has to keep a job. It lets them cut down on, it's the depopulation agenda. Don't have kids. Focus on yourself. Why would you want to bring a kid in this world? You're going to have to take care of the kid. Why do that when you can go to nightclubs every weekend and get drilled by a bunch of dudes you'll never learn the name of? Or I guess if you're a guy, you can engage in the same behavior. Don't think about other people. Think about just you. And I'm not even saying that that's something that is to be necessarily criticized whole hog. I'm saying it's not something to aspire to and elevate to the level of poetry.
No, it's not.
So
Kim Kardashian is the last person who should be telling us about, being a people pleaser.
I love the idea that she makes another sex tape. She's like, but this one I'm making for me. The first one I made to be famous. This one, it's kind of like the women who end up...
She did kind of put out her sex tape at the behest of her fame-hungry mother. It's
kind of like the women who make they hit 60 and suddenly all these magazines are like, do you want to post nude for us? And they're like, I did it for me. I did it because I wanted to see myself as beautiful. She needs to be like, look, I've been trying to hide that sex tape for 2 decades. My kids find it on Roblox.
Thank you.
My kids find it on Roblox. I'm making this sex tape.
My kids get phishing emails about it.
I'm making this sex tape for me.
It's party time.
I'm making this sex tape for me, she says. It'll be professionally produced. This time it's going to have good lighting. This time the lighting will be good, and it will be like Adam 22. It will be with a professional.
Yeah.
It will be an industry professional who drills my bonus hole, she says.
I hate that.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.